500. The site remained vacant. Oh, thank you. The site remained vacant for 400 years. And then a second group of people come here, and they live in the entire back end of the site. They live here, they die here, they have conflict. They have a stockade around their village, and they have a cemetery in the back end of the site. So the difference here is that all of the mounds that you see here at Fort Ancient, none of them contain burials. We're not a burial mound site. Think of Fort Ancient as a prehistoric church. So when Uncle Fred dies, you don't bury him in the middle of the sanctuary, but outside of the church itself. We have burial mounds on the Mound Trail over there. We have burial mounds in the south end of the site, along the Eagles Trail, we call it. It's 50 to 80 feet down on the hillside, and there's an artificial terrace that goes all the way around. So the people who built this site, you guys, let's say, you don't live here. Outside of the earth walls, straight ahead of us, is a huge field. And that would be where a huge habitation site was discovered. And that's basically the prehistoric hotels. Prehistoric Marriott, Holiday Inn Express, Great Wolf Lodge. And then you would come from all over the region, hundreds of people, stay outside of the earth walls. And then on a specific day of the year, you would come in through that opening, just beyond that other little mound, you can see an elevated rise. They would come in through that opening, and then they would watch the sun or the moon come up. And then they would go back through the grounds, and they would then have ceremonies. Now when I say the moon, the way this works is that we have the summer solstice and the winter solstice, so we're having annual events. When I talk to school children, I will say when the sun comes up in that opening, that's the first day of school. Sun comes up in that opening, that's the first parent-teacher conference. Sun comes up in that, go all the way down the line for the school year. The moon came up here 2 times in 18.6 years. What happens from that mound again, right where the 350 alignment or 350 opening is something called the minimum northern moonrise. You allow 9.3 years to go by, and it's 2 openings where that dead tree is. Behind that is an opening, and that marks the maximum northern moonrise. Another gentleman shot 700 photographs in an hour and a half. And then she spent 2 years almost painting it. Wow. So if you want to see it before you go, it was already in the museum, right at the exhibit entrance. And so, yeah, Charlie had donated that to the Fort Ancient Museum. So if you want to see what it could have looked like 2,000 years ago, feel free to go back in and take a look at it.
Also YouTube videos, I just did it this morning.
Oh, did you really?
There's a YouTube video about the fire and the snake.
Oh, well, cool. Now, were you here yesterday? No? There was a lady that swore she was going to be here this morning. Oh, that's you. You made it. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, because she came by after we closed the site, and she felt so apologetic. I said, no, that's where everybody goes. Once we close, you go out my driveway. Which, by the way, I'll tell you now, when we're done with this program, I'm locking that gate. So you have a choice. You can stay here until noon when we open the site, or you can go out my driveway, just like that lady did yesterday evening.
There's also, to the earlier question, some YouTubes of Jack, where he's talking like he is today. One of them's in the museum.
Cool. A little bit, yeah, but
you can get some of the, if you want to hear some more. And,
yeah. I don't know if I had a mustache and long hair at that point, but
that's the older one.
Sometimes you lose everything, you know? All right, it's going to come up, guys. It's going to make it. Now, you can see the tree line back there. When we did this corridor, we had Dr. David Dzinski with the Cincinnati Planetarium and the Historical Society. He had proposed the degrees in azimuth that was a perfect summer solstice sunrise. The problem? We had a quarter or about 250 yards of trees. So enter the Boy Scout community. Boy Scouts are a wonderful lot of boys. You give them a bow saw, you give them lopper shears and say kill, and they will take it down. We had 12 troops, 170 boys, donate almost 800 hours of community service. Now, when you cut it down, you got to bring it out, because I don't waste anything. So the Boy Scouts cut the wood up, and we hauled it out for Boy Scout firewood. So now, that was in 1993. And at the time, there was a person, the tree line was much lower. Behind that tree line, there was a house being built. And the lady that was building the house came in one day. She kept noticing her house being built, not opening. And she went into the toll booth and asked the toll booth attendant, you know, what's going on here with that corridor? Well, we used to have a summer solstice sunrise, but some idiot built a house in the middle of it. She said, that idiot's me. And so he was a little apologetic. But lo and behold, even after the house was built, when the sun shines through, it obliterates the tree line. It obliterates it. So to have Charlie over here is one of the best supporters of Fort Ancient we've ever had.
Let's give a hand for Charlie.
There you go.
Yay.
Well, it's coming, guys. Now, when I got here in '88, we couldn't see the earth walls. Vegetation was all over. And we started a Boy Scout community program where they work for 4 hours in exchange for community service, exchange for a free weekend of camping, a free Boy Scout approved Fort Ancient design patch, and then they also are eligible for the Historic Trails Program Award. We started the program in 1990. And since that time, we've had 22,000 scouts camping for the weekend in exchange for 4 hours of what my mother called elbow grease. And we've also finished 3 weeks ago, Eagle Scout number 151. So Fort Ancient holds, I believe, the record for the number of Eagle Scouts completed at one specific site in the entire United States. Typically, the humidity has to be below 65%. And according to my weather bug, our humidity today right now is 76%, which might cause a little bit of overcast there. Because it's 6:20. So, looks like that's the sun, folks. Just a little on the hazy side.
At least it's not all clouded over.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah, look at that.
Yep. Yep, that's the sun. Any questions or comments, guys? Yes, ma'am.
It's a full moon, and the summer solstice, is there any kind of interest in that, around that?
Well, not in the scientific community. I don't know about the native community, but see, is it Dale? Your name, Dale? Yeah. When he was here this morning, he pointed out the moon was almost in an alignment between that mound and this opening. It was off just a little bit, but it was too dark for me to tell right away. But I have no idea. No idea.
Is that a separate list or is that on the same list?
Newark earthwork?
Yes.
Yes, it's all on the same list.
Same list.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah,
And
it's,
Circle Mound and
yeah, all of Newark. 'Cause Newark was 4.8 square miles in size. And so Newark Earthworks is in it. The Hopewell Culture National Historic Park System, which has Mound City, Hopeton, High
Right.
Banks, and Site.
yeah,
And then Fort Ancient.
nice. Yeah, well they should be.
Did you get a good
Yeah.
Absolutely.
picture of it? Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
We want to catch it just at that point.
Exactly. Yeah.
Fire, you know.
I have a picture. It's really cool of the sun coming up, and then the light. Like when I took it, there's this